Peace and blessings to each and every one of you all that have come in at this precious moment in time. Believe me, you are going to be blessed to hear just the pops and his son on what this modern day woman is. Actually, yeah, I think it's the first time people even met you.
Yeah.
Yeah, first time. Told you I got a son.
He wasn't lying, everybody. He wasn't lying.
I wasn't lying. Didn't make him up. Nah, I didn't. But good to have you here. We're chilling down here in Miami, and want to have opportunity to spend a little time while I'm back here in America. And we've been talking about this whole relationship thing because many of y'all don't know that I went when I was in Africa. Still live with and I was on the journey trying to find my son, his queen. And though it wasn't really a serious, thing. Shout out to my man O'Shea Duke Jackson, who actually have the YouTube channel Pan African Dating Show. Go check it out. Full interview of me interviewing these young ladies from Uganda on which woman that I would pick for my son to be his potential woman that he would probably be interested in. So you check out that video on Pan African Dating Show from O'Shea Duke Jackson. That it was a really great show. I'm going to show y'all just a segment of it. But we wanted to come out here and just share a little bit about really the modern day woman and how do we select? How do you select that woman for you without choosing a hoochie mama?
That's important.
Have you ever chosen any hoochie mamas before?
Too many of them.
Too many.
Had to go though.
They had to go.
Had to go. Too many.
Yeah, you followed my footsteps on that one because I had chosen some hoochie mamas. I ain't talking about your mama.
Right.
I'm not talking about your mama. No, your mama was a good one. Really young back then. Can y'all believe my son's 35 this year? 35.
Look good too.
Yeah, he do look good. Look just like his daddy did back at 35 years old. But I look better now, you know what I'm saying?
I look better than him. He ain't got that.
Nah, he followed my footsteps. Hey, we look better. But anyway, we want to get into this about selecting this woman. And I want to really push this video because, I believe we all, men, especially as elder men, need to pick up the baton where our great brother, Kevin Samuels, basically really bringing in this whole thing about manhood and who we really are and how we really can bring this whole gap between the man and the woman together to become united. And sometimes when we expose some of the faults that we find in relationships with women, sometimes women get upset. Do you have that experience sometimes when you share with women? You gotta speak up, they can hear you on that one. Yeah?
Definitely.
Yeah.
I think we all have. I think we all can relate on that topic about that person we dated, dealt with, married to, everybody having to talk about it is important.
Yeah.
A lot of people probably don't have nobody to talk to about it. So they come to GoBlack Africa channel and get that information. Help them out.
Most definitely. I got a wealth of knowledge when it comes to relationships. Believe me, I've been a coach, minister, a consultant, and I have been married. I'm on my second marriage and my last marriage. And my first marriage, 17 years. I was divorced, learned a lot from that, and really found my one and only jewel, my wife. And I'm thankful for her because, she has been a woman really behind, who was back in the past, had some bad experience with her ex.
Right.
And then I had to really come in and show her a different side of what a man is.
Right.
And so, she's able to be receptive and she's able to understand the difference between man and woman. And that's really profound when it comes to selecting a woman who can believe in your vision and your dream.
Right.
Do you get any pushback from women when you share that? Are you there now? When it comes to meeting women, let's start this off right now as far as how do you select your women? Or how do you used to? Maybe you'll compare, what you learn.
Yes, certain areas. You know, we're not mindful of where we are when we choose a woman, whether it's the club or whether if you go to the gym, these type of different areas, you know, you'll get these type of women. So if I'm, you know, she like to party all the time. It's the type of woman I'm gonna get.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get a party girl. I go to the gym and I meet someone, you know, I've got somebody at least, you know, I know she's taking care of herself. I know the mindset's different. You know what I'm saying? You're not really gonna see a woman who's in the club all the time in the gym. So we got to take accountability of where we meet these women at, where we meet them at. You know what I'm saying? I think we all been in the club and they try to holler at somebody and it don't go right. We can take accountability, or I met this party girl in the club. So that's what we got. You know what I'm saying? Recognizing where we meet certain people at, putting ourselves in certain areas so we can meet somebody different. I think that's what we need to do.
I met my first wife in the club.
How did that go?
We got a divorce. We got a divorce.
We got a divorce.
You know, and that's because you asked me that the other day.
Yeah.
You asked me, how did y'all meet? I said, we met at a club.
Right.
Met at a club.
Right.
And not to throw mud on her or anything like that, but, you know, hey, I'm thankful 17 years out of that, got 2 beautiful daughters. You got, you know, your sisters and stuff like that. But I had to learn, too, about where do I find my woman?
Right.
Because more than likely, where you find her is probably where her habits and where she really spends most of her time.
Right.
Yeah. Where her heart is, you know. And so, we in selecting this woman here, you said where you meet. Where you meet. What would you say is a good place? You mentioned club and all that there. Where would you say?
Seminars.
At a seminar.
Bunch of businesswoman, go to a business seminar.
Yeah. And
meet some women whose mindset is different from going in the club and possibly owning the club. Different mindset of women we're talking about.
Wow. That's good. So instead of one on the dance floor, there's ones outside the club.
She owned the club.
She owned the club.
Shoot wise. Seminars.
Yeah.
You go to the gym. Lounges.
Yeah.
Certain lounges. You know what I'm saying? You can go there, you know. You find them. It's anywhere except the negative. You can't meet them in the strip club and they want to wipe.
You can't wipe the stripper.
Yeah, you can't say, oh, I can change her life. No. It's not gonna happen.
It's not gonna happen. You know, I met my wife over the internet. And you know, my sister was the one who set me up in this. I'm like, man, I get my own woman, whatever I want. She's like, no, you know, you're gonna be able to, you know, put yourself further out there instead of where you just at. You know, you have access to different states and all that right there.
Right.
And I like objected to it. And then it was like she had asked me at one point, you know, did I check the account? I'm like, nah. So then I went to the account and she made it all up and stuff like that. And I saw these tags, whatever. And I started reading and I started talking to the women. And I'm telling you, it was an eye-opening experience for me. Because, you know, I was taking it slow to find my wife. I really wanted to get to know these women. I wanted to really check these women's heart because I didn't want to do the same thing that I did before. So when this happened, I was already 2 years already in divorce, past my divorce. I had went on, you know, I dated a couple of women during those 2 years. And so then you know, my sister had created this account and I went out there and I'm telling you, I talked to tons of them. Learned a lot, listened to each woman's pain, listening to some of their issues. And I started to even understand that, you know, they had a mindset about men that I didn't think really was all that. It was only judging men based upon their own past experience, not giving me a chance. Did you run across that?
Bring on that hurt to the next person, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you gotta leave that from that person. Don't judge me off of your last. A lot of women carry that on.
Yeah.
Thinking, oh, he's gonna be the same type. He's gonna be the same type. Give him a chance. Give him a chance.
Give them a chance. Do you give women a chance?
I give them a chance.
Yeah.
I give them a chance. More than I used to.
Yeah.
You didn't get a chance before.
Yeah.
But that comes with, you know, focusing on yourself, you know, healing yourself and, you know, forgiving people. You gotta forgive people. You know, and you give somebody else a chance to give that person can be healed, but you also gotta heal yourself too. You can't expect a healed person to come save you. You gotta save yourself, and then together, I think that'll work.
You know what's so interesting is that, you know, I know that word is used a lot nowadays, heal. And I learned one thing when I was divorced, and I kind of went on my own desert island. You know, I said, I'm going to get me right. And I thought I was healed, if you will. I was like, I'm ready, man, to get you, because I wanted to just get me right. Because, you know, going through a divorce, 17 years, you got a couple kids, and your whole life changed. Now I'm single again. And it's like, you know, okay, what do I do? And I know that I don't want to go back out here in the street and do it like I did when I was 20 years old. I kind of fell into that quick, you know what I'm saying? But I mean, you know what I'm saying? I fell into that, you know. We got out here, you know, had a young girl, you know what I'm saying? I say young girl, you know, she was 24. You know what I'm saying? I'm 44.
How did you feel?
I felt like a young dad. I'm up here trying to talk to her,
coach
her through life and all the right there. She's all like, you know, like,
yes, sir.
I'm a father figure now. No, it's too young for me. It's too young for me.
Okay.
I found myself really just, you know, teaching her. So I thought that was just a little bit too young.
Yeah, okay.
But anyway, you know, it was really an eye-opening experience when it came to, what do I do now? I'm single, and how am I going to go about this? You know, and really, when you single and you get out there, you start to select, but you're selecting often because either, you know, you're trying to be with somebody, you want that one body, that companionship, you know, you want somebody, and you really go make mistakes. And I made a first mistake with the first woman I chose. She was a woman who was a veteran of the military. I met her at the veterans conference, not conference, but at a meeting, and you know, moved too fast and found that this woman was nothing that she said she was. Wasted time and effort. So, but anyway.
So let me ask you this:
for
the people out there, do you think where you met her at was a mistake? No. That had nothing to do with it?
No, because when you talk about meeting somebody, it's even meeting not just at a location or a place, meeting where they're at internally. Let me meet you where you are at right now. And if we can really, and I had to learn this. If I'm going to meet you, I got to meet you where you at.
Mindset.
You know, and but it takes people to be transparent and open and honest.
Right.
And most of us don't want to do that when we're just meeting somebody, and that takes time. And most people don't want to put that time in, because I mean, when I went and decided, you know, after her, and I met another one, right? And then I went through a span of time and kind of slowly walk that out. But then you get in and make your decision and be with someone. And all of a sudden now, you know, you in this relationship, you find out that there's some things that still is really in me that is being brought out by being in this relationship. So now you know. You been through any breakups? I know you have.
Yeah, I went through a couple breakups.
How do you think men handle breakups?
I think men handle.
How do you handle breakups? Or were you the one always doing the breaking up with them, or that they broke up with you?
I wasn't too many relationships, but the breakup that I did have, you know, I just dealt with it, you know, as it came. You know, of course, it wasn't easy when you care about somebody, but you know, but for the most part, you got to move on. You know, you can't hold on to that. And whatever happened, you got to forgive somebody. That's the only way you're gonna get yourself in your mind right. Because I think a lot of men, not saying myself, but you know, they get upset. They get upset when we break it off. They want to act crazy, you know what I'm saying, do something that they probably wouldn't have done if, you know what I'm saying, they were still together, you know, probably put their hands on them or something like that. But a lot of men, you know, can't handle the emotions. They can't control it.
Men emotional? Yeah.
They just emotional in an anger way, in an aggressive way.
Yeah.
I mean, women are too. Yeah. But I think men just go with what they do, you know what I'm saying? There's women that beat on men when they get mad.
Yeah.
But I think that's more common for a man who doesn't know how to control his emotions.
Yeah.
Than to a woman.
I think, you know, when it comes to, I speak from my experience. I've had women break up, you know, but I also had a woman cheat, and that was my very first girlfriend that I had, and that right there definitely put a layer of protection over me, not to ever get hurt from a woman.
Yeah.
And that right there in my eyes caused me to even judge other women
Yeah.
off of her of being
Yeah.
nothing but just no good food.
Right.
You know, I was 18 years old. I was 18.
I think most people feel like
Yeah.
when they get that hurt, that first hurt.
Yeah.
So your first one, that's that hardest one to get over. That first one hard to get over. So everybody else, you got that guard up, prepared for that hurt again. You want to trust them, but that hurt was so hurtful.
Yeah.
You don't want to feel it again.
Mm.
So the guard goes up. But giving and then and giving somebody else a chance.
Yeah. Yeah, family. Hey, this is my son right here. This is your man. This is the son.
The real son.
Yeah. So we decided, we're gonna go ahead and just chop up in front of everybody and really just put out here some real content that really even some of those who can even attest to what we go through. I'm quite sure there's a lot of women out here too who's gonna watch this video, so y'all can get a feel of how some of the men actually go about selecting y'all women. We already talked about where you should meet a woman. Yeah, and then I mentioned also not just meeting a woman at a location, because it does make a difference. Is that where you meet a woman, if she's in the club or if she's in the gym, it tells a little bit about who she is, about her. But let's move on to this. And I mentioned too also is meeting a woman where she is physically, mentally, and spiritually. Meeting where that most important, I guess, it can be more spiritually, because sometimes we know that women carry a load of damage or baggage because of these failed relationships, and so we have to understand as men, when we're approaching women, there may be those things.
Yeah.
But the second thing we talked about before we came on, you had made mention of being honest with yourself if she is a potential woman. What do you mean by that?
I guess we all recognize red flags, but we may overlook them. She may be pretty, she may be bad, but we overlook the red flags.
Yeah.
She may not have a job. We're going to overlook it because she's bad. We should have did that.
Yeah.
We should have been honest with ourselves about even going that far. I know this girl. Not saying that you can't give a girl with a job a chance, but if that's not what you want as a man, don't even entertain it. Be honest with yourself about things that that you willing to do, willing to put up with as far as. So I think that's important. We overlook the red flags all the time. Women do it, men do it, but we got to be honest with ourselves. I think we all see red flags in women, overlook them because of something else, or stayed in this or relationship for something else other than or other reasons why we can put up. Or met them at the first place.
Well, I would say the number one thing, and you mentioned already, that really we get caught up into their looks. I wish every man, and I've said this to you, a couple other people, I wish every man would demand that woman to take off the makeup, take off the wig, because that makes her vulnerable. And then it's going to give you even that much more, even a clear approach, a clear idea of who you're dealing with. Right. Because women, they fancy themselves up in order to attract you.
Okay.
And yet, that's typically our first move, is by the look of a woman. That's what attracts us. And then, like you said, we got to be honest with ourselves. Really, is she all that pretty? Well, I'm saying, man, we got to ask these women, like, look, you made some money to that. But that's personal. But we need to tell these women, right, that I want to see you without makeup and a wig.
I prefer all natural anyway. I prefer all natural body, natural look.
Yeah.
All the makeup and all that. I can understand getting your hair done, you know what I'm saying, but too much, don't do it. It's too
Come on, man. You mean to tell me the nice big old eyelashes they wear and their face painted up with those wigs and everything else? It's not attractive to you?
Ah, too much. Too much. You really don't even need all that. Women got this idea of what they don't even really know what a man really wants. Like, you know what I'm saying? If you really sit down and ask, what do you really want? How you want? Most want to say without makeup. Most going to say natural. Most men are not going to say, go in the bathroom and put some makeup on. Because if he has to do that, he don't really want you. I don't know any man that's going to tell him, go in there and put some makeup on. I'd rather see you natural.
You know what's that I find interesting? I talk to a lot of women. Women, they will use the makeup to attract a man. But what I understand too, a lot of women compete with themselves. I'm look prettier than the next one.
Yeah.
And so they go to these extreme measures of trying to put on these makeup wigs that doll themselves up because the competition is stiff out here. Because us men, we're drawn and we're going to go to whomever we feel as though that is the most pretty. But I think that women have to be. I think my wife, for instance, she don't wear much makeup. She really don't.
Right.
Let's not go out, to dinner or something like that.
Right.
She doesn't put on all the face makeup and all that. No, she'll wear a wig. When I met her, she was all natural.
Right.
Natural hair, very little makeup. She don't have even her ears pierced.
Right.
She's very a conservative woman.
Right.
Never wore pants in her life. She wears skirts or a dress. She, so what I found in that natural beauty, to me, it spoke volumes to me when I met her.
Right.
Because she was confident in her own look, which means then I didn't have to really worry about battling with how she felt about herself.
Right.
What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. I feel like a lot of them are insecure. That's why they put all this. Not confident in themselves. You got to build that confidence in yourself. Know that what a man really wants. Some men may like that, but most, I would say, it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal to have all the makeup, the eyelashes, long nails. You know what I'm saying? Long hair, all the way down to your knees.
Yeah.
It's not needed.
It's not needed.
It's not needed.
Y'all hearing from a 35-year-old women and y'all
needed.
watching. He's saying all that stuff is not needed.
It's not needed. It's not needed.
You thought it was when you was in your 20s.
I still didn't.
You got my DNA because I never cared.
Still didn't care for
Yeah.
it. You know what I'm saying? I still didn't care for it. Yeah, the women, makeup, it look nice, but at the end of the day, like you said, I want to see you without it. I want to see you without the makeup. I got to see you without the makeup eventually.
Yeah. Got to. And that's the scary part. When you take off the wig, the eyes, the eyelashes, you take off, the makeup, and you take off all that stuff there, who really is underneath?
Yeah.
And it's crazy when I see some of these videos, the transformation of those women.
That's scary.
That's scary.
That's scary. Yeah.
That is scary.
You don't know what you're getting into.
So you saying being honest with oneself, and if she is a potential woman, you gotta be honest in how, in what way she should be. In what way should you be honest with yourself?
What you willing to put up with, what you're not, or you want. What are you willing to accept and what you not willing to accept? Are you willing to accept her if she say I got 5 kids? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 8.
Five different baby
daddies, and they all from age from 1 to 5.
Yeah.
Some may be able to accept that. Most probably won't. So certain little things like that, you got to be honest with yourself about. Not just looking at the looks. You know, and ask the question that you're supposed to ask. Not because she's fine. I don't feel about it. You're gonna overlook the red flags that you don't even want to put up with. So I think that's important, to understand what you're willing to accept and what you're not. Being real with yourself.
And I say this too, that I believe, to the young men out there, if you tell a woman what she wants, she either accepts it or walks away. We should be, because we the kings, we should not even fear. We were talking about whether or not a woman's in your league or out of your league.
Yeah.
A woman is always in your league because you a man, always in your league. And then we had made mention about, well, if she drove a Lamborghini or she got out and she's dressed to the T and she's that professional, confident woman.
Right.
And I'm like, you have nothing to lose, because most men who think that way, she got very little who approaches her. And if you approach that woman just with a conversation, I guarantee you, believe me, she's gonna listen what you gotta say, because you come in with sense. You come in with some sense. Definitely. And I believe too. So if a man is want to be honest with himself, he got to know even his weaknesses.
Right.
Because if your weakness is about sex, you're gonna fall to anything that comes out with a beautiful face. You're gonna go with anything. Probably without a hey, last call for alcohol.
Yeah.
Who left in the club?
Yeah.
Hey, believe me, I've been there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
all
Been there.
Yeah.
And then you have this thing you brought home, or you went home with, and it's like
alcohol talking to you.
Alcohol to try to pretty up anything possible, boy.
She went from a 10 to a 3.
The next morning. And so we got to be honest with ourselves, like you say, like, if she, am I weak to the fact that a woman's, am I weak? Because I talked about, y'all got to watch the videos, young men. 4 types of women to stay away from. You got to know these 4 types of women. If you don't know these 4 types of women, I'm telling you, women are crafty, very crafty. And it can be used for the good, for the whole, or it can be used for the bad. So women are very smart. And those who want to get their prey, men, I said sometimes men think they pulled a woman and don't realize the woman pulled you.
Yeah.
She could strategically set herself in areas and places and wait.
Right.
And especially if she knows that the guy's gonna approach her. She's get pretty dolled up, sit in the area. She know where men's coming through, whether it's at the end of the bar, and maybe go by herself. She knows where the money is at. Go to these expensive places. Women are very crafty. Very crafty. You'd be silly enough to fall for those okey-dokes that then all of a sudden, you get entangled by a web that you can't get out of. So we got to be honest with ourselves. And where do we fall short at? Do we fall short because we fall for the big butt, the big breast? We here in Miami, me and him, the son, we be laughing because we see the fake ones, them fake butts out here, fake breasts, and it's just like, it's not even appealing. Some guys get twisted over it, but those are the ones who haven't reached their manhood, I say. If you ain't reached your manhood, you still trying to get caught up in it. Those definitely awesome. So check this out. So now we talked about is she willing to advance herself through a process of healing? How to select that woman. And that selecting process is where you meet her. And then when you meet her, we got to be honest with ourselves that is this woman really the woman you want to be with? Then when you get to the, is this woman, is she willing to advance herself in a healing process? Explain that,
I think everyone, as far as the healing process, should have some type of counseling, some type of therapy. It helped me out a lot. So I share with people, females definitely, that they should get, seek in someone, counseling, therapy, to, for mental purposes. Mm-hmm. Mental health is definitely real. Mm-hmm. And like we said earlier, a lot of women carry on old things into the new one. So if I'm a man going through counseling, therapy, working on myself, I may be really interested in you, but you may be holding on to something that old man or something like that and putting that on me, thinking nothing wrong with me. And you don't need counseling, you don't need therapy, but actually going through it, you know, the process and talking it out. A lot of people realize that, you know, they hold on to a lot of, you know, pain. They hold on to a lot of pain, and it's not fair for the man, for him who's working on himself, to take that load on. It's not fair. So I think if he, you know, mentioned the idea of therapy or counseling, that's something that a woman should take up, especially if she's interested in him.
Most definitely.
Especially. I'm not saying do it for every man, right? But if you really take him serious and you see the change in him and he's working on himself to the next level, and he asks you, hey baby, you might need some counseling or therapy before we get to the next step. Take him up on that offer, because how often will a man like that come around?
Yeah.
That really working on himself to better himself.
I think that women automatically be in counseling, because like if she's preparing herself or trying to get herself better, because the thing is she or is she willing to advance herself by healing?
Right.
You know, I think every woman should be in the healing process that she's single, because little does she know that she do have some issues that need to be ironed out. And I said this right here too. I used to say this to the girls, is that you know, you can't grade your own report card. You can't say that you okay.
Yeah.
You can't say I'm healed now.
And I think taking a break, not having sex, you know, is healing.
Yeah. That ain't it.
I was single for 2 years. I haven't had sex for 2 years.
Yeah.
That's not no. That's personal. Trying to, you know, tell yourself that, you gotta really, you know, go to somebody, talk that out, you know, get somebody else, like you said, grade somebody else grade you.
Yeah. Because I mean, abstinence from having sex is a self-discipline.
Right.
It has really little to do with that other person.
Right.
It's just a self-discipline that at least you can learn from. I've been there. I've went through abstinence.
Right.
And really going through abstinence, it gives you the time to really sort out your issues physically, because we are dependent typically on sex. Right? We're in a sexual country that's everything pushes sexuality.
Right.
And so a woman, she'll think that her abstinence, it makes it an advantage for her to get with a man when it actually doesn't. Mm-hmm. And I'm gonna say this too right here, because my wife, she abstained, and I walked that out with her.
Right.
You know, but most women need to understand, if you're in that meeting phase and you're abstaining, you know, okay, he might say, I'm not having sex with you, but y'all just getting to know each other, you know, he might still be exploring other women. You know, he's still like, you know, most likely he's exploring other women, because I mean, it's like he's trying to, you know, find that woman if he's trying to get in a serious relationship, and yet, you know, but he still could respect you by not having sex with you.
Right.
But most women, when they meet somebody, they don't want him having sex, and because she's not having sex, you know, which it has nothing to do with her, because she's disciplining herself.
Right. I
figured for myself, I wanted to discipline myself, because I knew if I can rid myself of the desire of that addiction, if you will,
right,
it makes me a stronger man. And that's why I went, because it disciplined and made me a stronger man, which means then that woman can't control me with what she has. And that is where I made more advancements in meeting women, because women, when I would, you know, they were like, why did you the other day, well, you know, we meet up this and that. I'm like, I don't want to do that. I'm just trying to get to know you. Women called me gay. They said, are you gay because you abstain from sex? No, I'm talking about disciplining myself, you know. Well, is something wrong with you because something, and women also, they would even say, is something wrong with me? Why you don't want to do? Nah, ain't nothing wrong. It's like women go there with that. A lot of women go there and like thinking there's something wrong with them. No, I'm a man. I'm disciplining myself.
Right.
Because if I fall every time to a woman because how she looks and I jump into bed with her, that right there steals my strength. I lose focus on what my vision is. So, yeah. Now, those are 3 points, family, that we talked about.
That was a good gem. I hope they listen.
Yeah.
That was some facts. heavy facts.
Now we got people out here who probably want to call in and ask some questions to a 35-year-old man or a 56-year-old man. Because
What are you saying?
we gonna put the link in and we look at what some people out here saying. Let me copy this link. Because the link is in the chat, family. The link is in the chat. Those who want to call in, whether you agree, disagree, it doesn't matter. You can also not show your face, but show your face behind the scenes, and then before I bring you on, you can go ahead. I'll call you and tell you can go ahead and shut down your picture because there are these hacks that are coming in. They're putting out pornography up on the screen. You think you're talking to someone, all of a sudden, boom, this film comes on. So let's check out what they're saying. Somebody says here, exactly, sexual discipline is so important for men. The standards will be different. And you're exactly right. My standards went up because I then was able to see that most women use their sexual bodies and get it all made up to stir up a man. And I had to learn to discipline myself not to be going and jumping after everything I thought that was pretty.
Right.
So it caused me to even look at a woman different. Not every woman the same, but look at them differently in how, if one, I know women are going to show more cleavage because they're not doing it for themselves. Yeah.
In the mirror.
Yeah. We know that they showing this not to be walking around so that other women look at it. They're doing it as far as to attract that man and their bodies or whatever you want to call it. I had to come to understand that was not something that could move me because I built a development or discipline. See what else they're saying out here. Link is in the chat. Those who want to call in. Got a question for my son, 35 years old, soon to be, and you want an elder's advice, 56-year-old, please call in. Let's see here. If you got any questions, please put a question mark at the end. Everyone should have someone professional to bounce their thoughts off of. Okay. Somebody got a question right here. Does your son have the fear of the Most High?
Most High?
You say scared.
I'm scared. I'm scared of what he may do. I have a fear.
So the consequences of the decisions that you make, those fears, that's already been written atmosphere. You're very conscious in some of these decisions because
these are
the judgments.
Yeah, I went through some hurdles.
Yeah.
Some hurdles. So, yeah, sure. That fear, I think it should be in everybody, right?
Yeah. Well, when I see this, and I'm not sure exactly where they're coming from, I know she's coming from Scripture. Scripture even says that the fear of the Lord is to hate evil. Fear of the Lord to hate evil. Because I think we got people out here sometimes will bring in some scriptures and stuff like that. Let's see here. But let's see, the fear of God. I think that's Psalms and that's for those right here. Proverbs, excuse me. It's got several of them that says, but we're still waiting on somebody right here to call in. Somebody call in. Okay, so the fear of the Lord is to hate evil, pride and arrogancy, and the evil way, and the forward mouth do I hate. So yeah, it all depends on, the fear of the Lord, but yeah. So you see yourself getting married one day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah.
What type of woman are you looking for?
Honest. Um, and bring peace. Peaceful. You need a peaceful woman.
A peaceful woman.
I don't need argue. I don't want to do all that. I don't want nobody who's insecure. I don't want an insecure woman.
Yeah.
Like that starts a lot of arguments, a lot of relationships, especially around my age. I'm saying it makes it different. Your age. As far as mine, insecurities, that ain't gonna work. Come in confident. Come in real.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't need all that makeup. That to me, that's like insecure. You insecure about something. You don't need that makeup.
Mm-hmm. You said one of the first thing really was I think that every man wants is who's cooperative.
Peace, cooperative. Yeah. I don't want a puppet. I need somebody teammate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's what I'm looking for.
What's the challenge though? What's the challenge with these modern women?
A lot of women, in the era, social media, I think people they know it's real, but what they see is what they want. You say the makeup, the BBLs, the big butts, the big breasts, that ain't you. That ain't you. That's somebody else. Be you. Be you. And too many people want to be like other women. That's why it's narrow. Window is narrow. Be yourself.
So really, do you think there is a lot of good women out here? Have you come across good women? Would you say there's a higher percentage of women who aren't being themselves? They're not ready. They're not prepared. For a guy like yourself or any guy that is, trying to find that right woman.
There's a lot of good women out here. I feel like it's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's a lot, but I think it's a lot that get lost up into this social media image of what they think men want.
Yeah.
And not just saying, let me sit back and ask a man on what men really want. Just try asking a man, a real man, not nobody who's still in the street, not nobody who partying 4 times out the week. Stop putting that man label on every guy. Exactly. You need to ask a real man.
They males.
Adult children. Some would say, ask a real man.
And a real man would come. What I mean, like you said, he's not out there in the streets partying it up all the time, and just wilding out from all the running the women, playing the games all the time.
Standing on morals, respect, taking care of his kids. Keeps himself up, works, helps others in need. That's a real man. Not using nobody.
My brothers, y'all heard that. Brothers, because I know that, a lot of us are off track because, we all have been on that wild road.
We have been on that wild road.
Yeah, we've been on the wild road. But it's time for us men to really step up our game, to be that leader, the man that really we have been created to be. I think that society has really weakened us. Society has caused us to be this limp wrist, jelly back type of male. That we don't stand for what we believe in. We only tell a woman what she want to hear, telling a woman, and sharing with a woman what it is that we want. Being real with yourself. Because my thing is that I guarantee you, if you were to go meet a woman and you told her and said, hey, look, this is the type of man I am. And whether it is that, I'm going to get to know you, but I'm going to be with other women, or I'm meeting other women, I want to get to know them, whatever. I believe most women be like, okay, at least I appreciate your honesty.
Being real, yeah.
At least be honest. I ain't gonna be out here lying to you. I'm just being real. Yeah. I like to meet you, but I'm meeting other women.
Right.
You know, I don't think any man should really. I have conversations with my wife.
Mhm.
I sometimes tell my wife, you know, like I went and got a massage, right? I told my wife, you know, I said, man, that massage was so good, you know, because one was giving me a massage. I said, I got a hard on. Some women can't handle that.
I told somebody, I said, I got a massage so good, I started activating marriage.
Yeah.
I went to get a massage about 2 weeks ago back at home.
Yeah.
I swear you said that. I said the same thing. I said that. I started, the lady rubbing me so good. That's it.
But you know what? I mean, I have conversations like that with my wife.
Yeah.
I mean, some people are like, oh, you say that with your wife? Yeah, I'm being real.
Yeah.
I'm being real with my wife.
Right.
You know, I can tell my wife, you know, that, you know, I have these thoughts, or, you know, when we out, right? Because I had asked her not too long ago. I said, do I look at other women? She said, yeah, but not too long. That's what she told me, not too long. I'm like, thank you. You know, it's like, I'm a man. I don't have to sneak and hide anything. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not going to be disrespectful in front of her and be like, turn around and all that right there.
Yeah.
That keeps it real. And my wife knows, look, ain't no woman can come in and take your spot. Right. And that's what a woman wants, is security.
Right.
You know, a woman wants that security. We got somebody that just came in. Show your face real quick, Natalie, and then you can take it back off before I put you on. Okay, if you want to shut it down, you can. Okay, we got you. Okay, you got to shut it down. What's happening, Natalie?
Hey guys, I follow you, Dr. GoBlack. I love watching your videos. I'm so happy I found you the past year. And I said, oh my God, he put the link. Let me jump in.
Yeah.
Okay. I am so excited you're doing this conversation. What I want to say, oh my goodness, I feel like my thoughts are all over the place. I'm just so excited to be on air with you. Okay. So what I want to say is I am finding this very, very interesting. I love a lot of what you guys are saying. I am just not finding amongst me and my single female friends that is what you guys are saying is not the common mindset of most single men.
Mm-hmm.
Most single, except for the makeup part. I have definitely found when somebody said in the comments that I discovered, so I'm 41, I discovered back in college that typically makeup on women is for other women to impress each other. Or it's because what you guys said about women have insecurities. I'm one of the very few women in my family who don't wear makeup. My whole thing with makeup is typically lip gloss. And I got obsessed with lipstick when I finally been able to wear makeup as a teenager. And that's it. Mm-hmm. I'm not doing eyelashes, foundation, and I even struggled with acne. And I decided to use that as my pandemic project to clear it rather than use makeup to cover it up.
Right.
So I decided to heal in that way. And so that segues into healing. So you guys were talking about women wanting to heal. I'm the one that made the comment earlier about most women are going after their emotional and spiritual healing way more than men. I'm actually a social worker in the mental health field. Mm-hmm. And we have found that especially in Black communities, it's still a stigma that Black men won't go to therapy. Typically in our clinics in my neighborhood, I work for LA County in Los Angeles in California. And typically we have found that when men go to therapy, when Black men go to therapy, it's typically something drastic that has happened. Either they're court ordered or a family member put them out because of their behavior, things like that. You don't typically find Black men just wanting to improve their emotional well-being and work on themselves. So I'm finding the things that you and your son are saying very, very rare. And I'm not saying you guys are the only ones saying it. I have come across Black males actually in my field. And I have told men, hey, I know some Black male therapists you could speak to if you want to speak to a brother you relate to. And they're still like, I don't need that. They won't do it.
Yeah.
So what your son is saying about there's so many good women, yes, because way more of us are working on our issues. And when we're healed and come out, we find a good man shortage. And when I say good man, not all of us are gold diggers. I'm a product of the 80s and 90s where this label of gold digger, I find the opposite because I strived after high school to have my education, have a good job. Then I'm finding that more black men are intimidated when we have all these women who are successful, make good money. Even if we're kind and let the man still run the home, they
Let-
still don't like the fact that we make good money, and they're mean.
Well,
They're mean.
let me say this right here. Let me say this right here because I can't let you beat up on the brothers like that. All right.
Okay, go for it.
There are because you say there are very few good men. All right. Now I even had to go. That you a lot of sound. I hear some beeping.
Sorry, I was turning on my oven. I'm about to cook dinner.
Okay. You know, women have said this for years. There are no good men. There, according to statistics, I had to get into the statistics and look at what is actually, like you mentioned, statistically, men are not prone to go get counseling.
Yes.
That's a man thing. And that's just how we are. You know, there are a lot of good men out here. And, you know, women talk about, you know, going to look for a man. And it's like, really, please explain to me, how does a woman go look for a man? Women, how do you approach? Do you approach men?
I'm sorry, you said women what?
Do you approach men?
Not at all.
So
The relationships that I have had, it's like you said earlier, when women put themselves in position, then men come up to us.
Listen to this right here. If you say it's hard to find good men, then what do you mean by that when you don't approach men? The good men may not be approaching you.
I could accept that. And so why is that?
Yeah, you know, I'm looking for good men. Women don't. It's very rare that women really approach men.
Count on one hand.
You know, exactly. I mean, one hand, how many a woman approach me. So now we're talking about, is it now on to the woman that she's just not being approached? There are many good men because statistically, it's been proven there's 54% of men that are single with no kids. Most men do work, and that is a high percentage of men who are active with their kids. I think that this conversation that women keep it in the circle as though there aren't a lot of good men. And I believe that there are a lot of good men. I think women find a way not to find men to be good. Because women want to box men in the way that they want them, and you can't box them in the way that you want them. You got to be the woman to be able to come in. When a man comes to you, you got to be able to hear him out and find out what does he want from a woman. And then when you find out what he wants from you, you can't try to reshape all that and what he wants from a woman. And there goes the mess up. There goes the confusion.
Yeah.
Because I've had women to dictate of that. How does she wants a man? And I'm gonna say this, and you might have disagreed with me. The woman, it ain't about what a woman wants in a man. It's what does the woman accept from the man. The man presents himself out there. You look at nature, and I like the birds, I like the fish. When you watch when the man goes out to go seek a woman, he will be the most, because the males have got the most prettiful colors, and he shows himself. So he picks the woman that he wants, and he shows himself, and she sits there and he shows her what he wants or what he has. She sits there meticulously and looks for flaws. But he's gonna show her and tell her what he wants. It's either for you to say, yes, I accept what you have told me, or no, I'm going to move on to the next.
I think the pattern with a lot of women's relationships is when we ask men what do they want, a lot of times, at least I can speak for me and my friends, they'll say, I don't know. And it's like, then why are you going on dates with women when you don't know what you even want?
Why? Do you know why it's that?
Why?
Because y'all confused the whole situation. It got men confused in when a man expresses himself and then a woman comes back and puts her 2 cents on it. Now it's like, okay, well, you know, these mixed messages that are received.
Or
go ahead.
Why still continue to date a man that don't know what he wants?
Yeah. And that's the
That's a
first
good point.
woman running away. If a man don't know what he wants,
When you don't know what he wants.
why are you dealing with him?
Yeah. You don't know. That was,
Yeah. Well, that's why I'm single, because I have cut off and not let it last long when they're just, I don't know. Then I'm like, then what are we doing? I'm out.
right.
Well, I disagree with that, because it shows them that you have a lack of longevity, of endurance. Because
To
yes,
stay with somebody who don't know what they want, I should stay in that.
well, no, men, we typically are not going to share with you our wounds, our issues, our visions until we feel comfortable that you might be that type of woman I can confide with. Why?
But I think sharing what you want in a relationship is not about sharing your issues.
Well,
It's about saying, what is your ideal woman? What are you looking for in a relationship? Like, what are the qualities that are important? And when they say just your, huh?
Yeah. Now we was just saying, and we talked about that earlier about men being real with themselves about what they want. So I get what you're saying. We talked about
Men
that
need to be
earlier.
honest, because I'm
You
gonna
gotta be
tell you,
honest. Yeah.
man, I'll be honest with you, man. When I was younger, in my 20s and stuff, I realized if you straight up with a woman, if you just want to get the coochie, tell her I just want the coochie.
Yeah,
That's it. Say that, because then a woman knows what we're dealing with. It's the same as like how black people say with racism. We'd rather see the blatant racism than the hidden stuff. Like, we don't want to have to figure it out. And it's the same thing. Men need to be blatant. Hey, this is all I want with you. But see, men don't do that. And so then when we find out this is all you were after, that's where the whole beef and drama and conflict and all the craziness come in. Because you just should have said that from the beginning instead of just using me.
Well, here's the thing right here. It's no secret that man wants your sex. That's not a secret. Why does women act like it's a big surprise that man wants sex from you?
Because if that's all they want, then it still goes back to where's the honesty. Don't be like, oh, if that's all you want, be honest. Say that's all you want.
Well, here's the thing. Woman controls the sex. All right? Woman is the one who controls the sex. You're the one who's either going to say yes or no. The man controls the relationship.
Mm.
We're the one who's going to ask you to be our woman.
Yeah.
We're the one who asked you to engage us. You're going to get engaged or married. But the woman acts like this is a big, like this is new news that, oh, he just came just for the sex. Well, what did you offer besides your sex? Because you're the one who gave it up.
Good point. I mean, I'm not disputing that. I'm saying
I know you're not.
women should hold that back until they find out if the man is serious about them or not. And but I think you're right. Women do give that up too quickly. And then they're disappointed that they got used for that. And what I'm saying is more men need to be honest up front that they don't see this particular woman as relationship material. Oh, like that happens to one of my friends quite often, that she gets used.
Hold on a second. I'm going to ask my son, because he's in the dating game, and your friends or whatever, this right here. Do you think men are straight up with women when they meet them?
Most no.
And when you say they're not straight up, what does that mean? Straight up with what?
Straight up as in, like you said, most of them, they already know what most men want, sex.
Yeah.
So it's kind of them like, you know what I want, you know what I want.
Yeah.
That's like an unwritten, I don't have to really say that.
Yeah.
You already know. That's why I make up the threats and you doing it for the attract the man.
Yeah.
You arouse him. You feel what I'm saying? So when he comes to he those things arouse him. He wants sexual pleasures out of you. So I don't really have to say it. You putting this stuff on, making you want it.
Yeah. Yeah. And so then there goes the presentation. The woman's presented herself. He approached her by an attraction. What more do you need to ask a man what you want? Unless you're stating the fact that I am not interested in anything but a relationship. The woman's got to be able to speak out too. See, the women don't.
Right, and so when women do that, then that's when men walk away. That goes back to what I was saying about there aren't good women because most good women want the solid, healthy relationship, and men are not. It doesn't seem like that's what they want. It seems like they only want the sex.
Well, of course, because that's what's presented to them. Sexuality. So
So why is that with men? Men don't want the healthy relationship. You have a healthy relationship with your wife, and so we're not finding that common in the dating field that that's what men want these days. Men just really want to run through as many women sexually as they can.
well, males will do that. But let me ask you this right here: the last man you were with, where did y'all meet?
Let me think. This was a couple years ago. I want to say online or dating app.
What's the dating app that you met on?
That one, BLK, the black one, the one for black people.
The black one. Okay.
It's actually called BLK.
Okay.
And it's marketed for like black professionals.
Okay, so you met this person. You said it didn't last.
And and it turned serious, but it didn't last because he had emotional issues he refused to work on. Him coming from a domestic violence family and then PTSD from military, he really thought there was nothing wrong with him just having explosive, angry behavior all the time. So I don't want to.
Why did you hook up with him?
I think because I didn't see that initially. He was good at hiding that. He was good at hiding that for like a good maybe 6-7 months.
See,
and then
that's where I believe that what you're saying is not absolutely true, because men do a terrible job at hiding things. Right? We do a terrible job at hiding things.
Women do a good job.
We might can last a month. but
I think the little red flags that were there, I saw the good qualities and let the good qualities overtake the little he was showing me, and then it just, when it got worse is when I finally saw it. So you're right, he didn't hide it that well, but it didn't grab my attention and help me realize I can't stay in this until it got worse.
I think a lot of women, like you said, you looking at the qualities. I think a lot of women look at the ideal of a man instead of looking at the man for who he really is.
Yeah. I agree with that.
Oh yeah, he looked like he can have himself together. He looked like he can start a business. You're looking at an ideal instead of saying this is just who he is. And, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think that's a lot of mistakes women make.
The other thing is that women,
and that's true.
Women will not take ownership of the mistakes they make in relationships. You always see a woman say they broke it off, right? Statistically, 80% of the women break off and have divorces. Women are the ones who act like their man was always the problem instead of the woman taking ownership in the fact that you were the one who said, yes, I want to enter into this relationship. But you're the one who controls the sex side of it. And yet y'all send these messages like, oh, you're game for it. But once you get into it and then you get tired, you want to break it off now.
You're right. I definitely see that. I can agree with that. I can definitely agree with that, because a lot of women do want to always say it's the man. It's like, and like I said, in my case, it's about, well, but didn't you see these things you now saying you have a problem with? And when people ask me, I'm like, I didn't see it until it was real bad. And I took the ownership of being able to say, okay, yeah, these little things were there, but I turned a blind eye because it was tolerable initially. And then when it became intolerable, that's when I was like, yeah, I don't want to stay in this one.
Well, let me ask you this right here, because, in relationships, it's typically women like yourself who will call in and they will talk about what went wrong with the ex. But where was your fault in the relationship?
I would say, like you said, not requiring and holding back long enough to see really if this was going to be a good match or not, and let him really show me his real self long enough, and me not being blind to it. And I think some of the things that we didn't discuss ahead of time is, what are your expectations? Because now I know through my own therapy, okay, this is what I should have asked. What are you expecting of me? What is it you need from me? And then I need to find out, is this something, these things I'm willing to do And some of the things I was not willing to do simply because I just didn't feel comfortable. Um, I just didn't feel comfortable. It seemed like he wanted somebody like a housewife type to dote on him all the time. And as I said, I'm a social worker. I go and see people both in the clinics and homeless in the community, things like that.
What
And
was
so
your
he,
intentions? What was your intentions of the relationship? You say he wanted a like a housewife. What was your intentions of dating then?
well, this wasn't revealed to me till, like I said, right before, and that's why I said I do take accountability in not asking these things and not finding out this is what he was trying to turn me into. I
So
didn't find out this is what he was wanting until we kept having conflict of him coming at me while I wasn't doing certain things. Like he expected me to do things all the time for him, but whenever I asked him to do anything for me, he didn't want to. It was very one-sided. It was little things like maybe even cook for him, or let's say, when we're driving, do the GPS for him. But any little thing I asked for, he had an attitude. Like, can't you do that yourself? Like those were the responses I often got. It was very one-sided, and so it made me feel like, yeah, this isn't going to work because this is not teamwork. Things
okay,
are too one-sided.
okay. So you decided you're not going to date anymore for the rest of your life.
I didn't say that. You asked me why this one didn't work. So that's why this one didn't work.
Oh, I thought you said you shut it off. That you know.
No, I said I just shut down with that one.
So
I said that's why that didn't work with that one.
what are you doing now in between the time that you're single until the next guy that approaches you?
Oh, I've been working on quite a bit. I've learned about relationship attachment. I did a lot of workshops about just my own healing and journey and things like that, which I think, a lot of people, men and women, need to equally do.
So you
And
are you looking at trying to be married?
I've been married before, and now I'm like,
You looking at
I
being? Are you looking at being married?
again,
Yeah.
I'm not sure at this point. I wouldn't mind like a long-term relationship, but I don't know specifically about marriage just
What
because
What is a long term relationship?
like being together with like being with the person
How long?
long term.
How long? How long is long term?
I would say long term could be like forever, like a marriage, but maybe not confined to a marriage.
Why you say confined to a marriage? Why is a marriage confinement?
I think because of a little bit of, I don't know, maybe the demands
So,
of it. It just
so what it sounds like is that this man was testing your wifelyhood, your potential being a wife, and seeing where you go with it. It scared you because you sound like you don't want to be married. You just want relationship.
no, I wanted marriage at the time I was dealing with him. But I think when I dealt with him, it maybe scared me a little bit because of the lack of give and take. And I think if I can get the equal give and take, I could definitely go the marriage route. But I
Let
think
me
that's what
say
has me hesitant.
let me say this right here. I've heard this before by other women. I call
Okay.
it sabotage. When you operate out of fear, you will find and pick every little thing in order for you not to get over the hump to where you know where it's going, like marriage. And you just stated that you rather have a long-term relationship, not a marriage because of you didn't want to be confined. You made marriage out to be something like it's a prisoner, like you're going to be in prison or something like that. So to me,
Yeah.
that right there is an unsubconscious uh, 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 I guess a blockage that you have because you just said a confinement.
Yeah.
Marriage is not a confinement.
The word.
That's a heavy word. That sounds like
Yeah.
So I definitely don't want to do that.
20 years confinement. 20 years confinement, you guys. And so
Yeah.
so and I had to learn
I
this.
think because that last experience had me feeling like that. And I think with it being an equal give and take, it wouldn't feel like that. From what I've learned from my own therapy and things like that, it wouldn't feel like that.
Let me be real with you, man. Okay. In marriage, it is not equal. It is not a give and take in marriage. We throw those words around and don't even know what it means. Okay, so let me just say the give and take. We will always argue about the give and take because somebody's going to feel like they're not getting their fair share of
Mm,
take. So what does that mean? That means defining roles up front.
yeah.
When we have miscue or skew the and blur the lines of, okay, well, what is the roles? Because you mentioned the guy, he wanted you to cook, he wanted you to handle the GPS when he's driving. He was giving you duties that he felt possible, maybe that this is what wifely duties are. That's an easy conversation to say to have. Okay, hey, we are now entering in an area that I feel that you are using me as your helpmate. Okay, let's
Yeah.
define some roles. Where are we headed with this? Okay. What are you?
Yeah.
Because this is conversation you should have at the beginning of before even getting into relationship. Because you said I want to
Right.
have a long term relationship. Well, and I asked you the question, what is long? And there's nothing going to guarantee a long relationship.
I thought the point of dating was for marriage and building a family.
And that's what a relationship is for. Build marriage and building families.
Yeah.
And my question is, if you meet a man that wants a marriage and a family and does be upfront with you, what do you do? You
Oh,
said,
I wouldn't back out of that. I would still explore. Okay, well, like your dad just said, then what do kind of the roles look like in your ideals, in your ideal mindset then if that's what you want. How does that look to you? Like you said, when there's roles involved, then that's where the discussions come in. Okay, well, how does that look to you? What does that,
Well,
what does that mean?
I did a video of sharing with men. They need to lay out the ground rules because it's the man that is because, and I'm talking to men. We have to lay out the rules of the relationship, not the woman. The woman has control over her body, but if you want to lead a family, you got to make it clear with her what you are wanting from her.
Yeah.
Right.
You are inviting her into your world by asking her to marry you. She's not asking you to invite you into her life. So, and women have to understand this: that if a man is asking you into his life, then he should also be man enough to lay down what are the so-called his expectations and the roles that both play in this thing called a relationship. Then what are the roles that are expected when it comes to you being a wife and a mother? Now, women are going to be mad at me because women believe they have a say-so in that matter. I say they have very little say-so in that. Why? Because everything should rest on the man's shoulders when it comes to the providing, the protecting, the guiding, and the leading of the family. If things go upside down in the marriage, where he has to figure out bringing in more finances, or he has to provide more for the family, what have you, he's got to remain and take care of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that a dog I heard?
Yeah, that's my dog. He heard something.
She got a dog.
But he's little. He's a little tiny little. He's like slightly bigger than a chihuahua.
She had a man relationship. She found her dog. Yeah. So you got you a dog that you can control, and you can tell when to sit and when you can feed it, when you take it out to take its dump, and you feel really good about that, don't you?
I never even thought of that. I didn't even get it for that. I got it for kind of just the simple, just to have a pet at the house.
Oh, come on. Come on. A dog is a heavy responsibility. Matter of fact,
yeah.
Look, you got to put up with a dog more than you do with a man.
And a child.
Just keep it real.
Like I said earlier, yesterday.
The dog is the one who I guarantee you, the dog is the one who actually is controlling you. When you got it on a leash, it's in front of you, it's walking you. You're not walking it.
I don't dispute that. I hear you.
Telling you when it needs to be fed, when you need to let it out to go ahead and take its dump. it needs to go
I
to.
actually got him a doggy door so he can go out on his own.
Well,
And
yeah.
I feed him twice a day. He don't tell me when he wants to eat. I tell him these are meal times, and so he's gotten accustomed to this is when he eats.
Well, I'm just trying
So
to
he don't tell me when he's hungry. I let him know this is when you're gonna eat.
do you and the dog have a do you have a companionship with your dog?
I would say so.
So let me ask you something, because this is real things I done went through with women with pets. If you meet a real man and he does everything right to be honest with you, and he wants to get married to you, right?
Yeah.
He does not like your dog. He doesn't like dogs. And it comes to a point where it's a man or a pet. Are you willing to give up your pet for a marriage with this man? Or you want to say, "No, I'm not giving up my dog. He's just gonna
I
have to."
think in the way you described, if he checks literally all the boxes, I mean, because I'm not like so superficial, has to be, certain salary, all of that. I mean, like all the boxes,
No,
like he's kind,
no, no,
considerate.
no boxes will be all checked.
Answer the question.
The dog or the man.
The dog or the man.
No boxes will be all checked. That's impossible. No, my box won't be all checked for a woman, and a woman's box won't be all checked for the man. So that's the problem that we run into too with the women with pets, because the attachment. You know, like you said earlier, you didn't look at a lot of things like that, but it's coming from a man that went through this with women with pets. So
you're saying you will. Let me say this too. Women has these checklists. Women don't need checklists for a man. I'm gonna say that again. Women don't need checklists for a man.
because if I give a checklist, I'm judged. If I say you got to, we get a list. You got to make 6 figures. You got to be 6 foot tall.
But to me, that's kind of superficial. My checklist is like, is this person just kind of like kind, considerate, not all about themselves, things like that.
Well, what I'm talking about a checklist is that, like my son.
Most women are superficial with theirs. They got to make 6 figures. They got to have this type of job. And I'm not talking about that. My checklist is more, even does he have a job? As long as he even got a job.
We said my son said he has all those areas covered. He's a man. He takes care of his business. He does these things right here, and he does not like dogs. Would you give up your dog to be with a man? With him.
I actually would, because there are 2 people who I trust my dog with. And I've always said, if there's something that happens to me or for whatever reason I can't have them, I have 2 people in mind I would willingly give my dog to if it came down to having to do that, to have a good man who says, I don't like dogs. I really want to be with you.
Right.
Cool. I would do it. If he's treating me great and wonderful, like we just vibe, and we not just get along, but we not just get along. We really vibe. There's a connection. We because I think that's also where men and women find a disconnect too. They just think, oh, they get along. And it's more than getting along. It's about, do y'all really connect and bond on things? You have the same outlook and perspective on things. And so if all those things are there, oh yeah, there. Like I said, I have 2 people I could easily give my dog to.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you calling in. Hey, much success to you in your endeavors.
Give us an update too. You want an update for real? Like I said,
I wouldn't know how to do that. I've never seen your dad put a link to join in the chat before. This is the first time I've watched him on his lives be able to do that.
GoBlack to Africa at gmail.com.
We'll
be back again. We'll be back again. Thanks a lot.
Okay. You're welcome.
All right. This is what I meant, family. And I learned this for you men, okay? When I said that women don't need a checklist. She's either just accept what the man presents to her, if she's willing to walk that out. She meets you, you lay down, hey, she can ask the questions. You got a job? You got this right here? Blah, 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 blah. And she can go down, if you want to say this checklist. At the end of the day, she really is looking for somebody to love her, really. So the checklist really doesn't even make sense. Because I know there are women in their 40s, just like her, who now are looking for men just to love them. Just to love them. Not this long checklist. I used to have a checklist when I had the type of woman I want. I had this long checklist and I narrowed it all the way down to, I just want a woman to respect me and love me. That's what I want. Right. And when I was out here looking for my wife, and I was just telling my son this today, because we didn't know back then, and you're talking like 9 years ago, that I was talking to women who were unemployed, women who were on Section 8, women who was either in uneducated or educated, professional, high end, low end. I spoke to all of them. But I gave each and every one the opportunity to present themselves to me for me to even consider. Would this be the type of one? So I didn't, because most men don't care about a woman's money or profession. When I met my wife, and she just closed after we were talking for about 2 months, she said she didn't like to tell people she was a doctor. So she told me after 2 months, because she said people act funny and then all of a sudden they're going to try to gravitate to you. My first response to my wife when she said she was a doctor, I said, I don't care nothing about that. That's what I told her. I don't care nothing about that. Men don't care about that. But men do have their desires in what they want in a woman. It's up to the woman to decide whether she wants to walk forward with him. Women don't need to bring no list. That means that's control again. See, most women want to go ahead and have control in the type of man, bond him, shape him into what you want. Nah. It's about whether or not you want this man who is going to be, what most women say, they want the security. They want a man to love them, be faithful, and provide. They say that. But women have a propensity of always sabotaging their relationship. I've seen it from my friends. I've heard from these women out here. Why'd you break him up? And why'd you break up with him? Well, listen to majority of the women. They blame the guy. And I say, hold up. Y'all don't even have the endurance to go through hard times. Y'all don't even have the heart to sit back and try to even understand, why is the man operating such a fashion? I just gave up. But she's saying she wants Natalie, we just had here, said she wants a long-term relationship. Well, why couldn't you walk that along with him in order to see if you deal with this man that you said had PTSD? That's a mental issue that is being dealt with for those who have been, traumatized by an experience. It's like every time a man has something that maybe a woman don't like, she wants to get rid of him. And it's like they're looking for this perfect man. And I'm like, the only way you're going to get the perfect man is if you're the submissive woman. And get rid of the list. Believe me, I'm telling you. Because even though women are too macho enough to say, I'm just as equal, and that's all lies. Men and women are not equal. I share with my wife here, we're coming to a close, but I share with my wife this, and I share with her, I say, look, I'm the man of the house. And everything rides on me. So all you need to do is just relax and chill, enjoy your job you got, because nothing depends on you when it comes to the house. Nothing. So relax. You don't need to tell me you need to go left or right. You need to go left or right when I say let's go left or right, because I'm gonna handle the biz. Now, for the women out here, that man is easy to detect, because most men want to be the leader of the house. It's just women just want to say so. They want to get in his vision and change it and twist it to the way she wants it. Well, I think that no different than kids. Women shouldn't have the say in how many kids you want. It's the man if he's providing. You want 3 kids? Well, hold up. I don't even know if we're able to even get to 3 kids. Let's just yes, I can't do it. Might not be able to afford 3 kids. It's the man if we're talking about men, not males. There's a lot of males out here running around, y'all giving them titles as men. Exactly. But say that one more time.
With 5 kids and they ain't taking care of them.
So men, you young men or males out here who's listening to me, it's time for you to rise up and become the man, the one who has the voice in the matter. I'm not talking about abuse your wife or your woman. No, because the beautiful thing about dating is you get to set the rules. But then you also invite her because she's a feminine energy. You see, you're farsighted and she's nearsighted. Sometimes you need a near view on something. You need to embrace that. So my thing is that if we can get to the role of the man is the leader and the head, and the woman is the helper, that brings a bond of oneship. But the problem we have today is that women, they want just as much to say so in the leadership, but when they go to their jobs, they follow exactly what the organization, institution, or the company tells them they need to do. The company don't cooperate with you. You cooperate with the rules they set for that business. That's for sure. When you go to work at your job, the policies and rules have already been set. They're gonna tell you what you need to wear, what time you gotta come to work, how often you're gonna take leave, when to go to break, all that right there. You don't go up there knocking on the door talking about, well, I think that it ought to be this way. No, we're leading the CEO has a job to guide and lead that company in a direction that all will succeed. There ain't two. That's why a CEO is very important. That's why you remove an owner out of a business and put a CEO, so there's no personal attachment. You see, a man can't allow his wife to come in to the vision often because she has a personal emotion that's attached that can take them off course. Believe me, you can use it in any aspect that you want. There's always one head. This whole thing about, it's a woman who's beside the man that creates the man, and all these different sayings. Nah. You can say decide whatever that makes you feel good. I need a woman behind me. Because there's business that needs to be, I need somebody who have not just my back, I got her back. Who's looking from the rear while I'm looking in front? Not her just trying to be looking at like we equal. Nah. Right. You my queen, you chill and enjoy while I'm out here busting my ass in the street and doing it for the family. And there's nothing wrong with a woman working. The problem of it is the woman education, her money always gets in the way of a relationship because she thinks now that she's above a man. And you're never above a man. Never above a man. And I'm not going to get into the thing about what's valuable. Both are valuable. Both are valuable. Bringing to the table different things, but at the end of the day, I make tough decisions for my family. I'm the one who's like, we're going to do this and we're going this direction and I see this right here and we're going to go that route. And if it don't work, guess who's got to get us out of it? My wife just has to relax and just look at me with a smile and say, he got it. Baby, what you need? What else you need? Babe, I need for you to do this and take care of this right here. Okay. Then I say to her, baby, is there anything that you need in order to, because you're my helper, is there anything you need to perform those things for us to build this kingdom? Is there anything that you need? Yeah, I need this, that, and that, this, and that in order to make this happen. Okay, cool. But my wife, don't ever try to tell me the direction we're going. I think we ought to go over it. No. See, when my first marriage, I was that type of guy that was trying to bend over backwards to make her feel as though she's equal. And it caused so much confusion. They say 2 heads are better than one. That's a lie at times. Two heads together trying to make a decision and you both disagree. Who defers to make the decision? It better be the man. It better be the man. Unless the man decides to defer to the woman, his wife, because of the fact that she may be knowledgeable in that area more than he. But he makes a decision. Baby, you make that decision right there because you're more knowledgeable in that area. But if y'all both heads and heads about some situation, it rests on me. You got anything else, son? We out of here.
Good. Everybody be safe. Take accountability.
And men, it's time to be men. It's time to be men and show women what really a man is. All a woman wants is a man to know what direction he's going. That's what the woman said, right? You know,
You said it good earlier. You said men, not males.
men.
No, for sure. That's mixing that up. Men, not males.
Yeah.
Everybody's a male. Everybody ain't a man.
Not everybody's reached manhood. They could be 70 years old, ain't never reached manhood. Most definitely. All right, family, this is your man. This is your
Boy, man, son, whatever.
not no boy.
I ain't learned the saying yet, y'all.
No, guys, I always trip people out. Some people say whatever. This is your man.
This is your man.